Once again, Dr. Purdy's testimony contained critical falsehoods, saying that Carrie's paternity was unknown, cast further aspersions on the family. But it was not true. The depositions of John and Alice Dobbs at the time of Carrie's commitment stated that Carrie's father was Frank Buck. In his history and clinical notes, Dr. Purdy had recorded on Carrie's admission that her father was Frank Buck, who had been accidentally killed. Dr. Purdy did not tell the board this or explain why this account of her per, parentage had changed. Uh, Dr. Purdy's testimony about Carrie's daughter Vivian was particularly egregious, but presented her as feeble minded. It strengthened the colony's case that Carrie was part of the defective line and had to be sterilized to prevent more feeble minded offspring. The testimony, however, was false. At the time of Carrie's commitment hearing on January 23rd, 1924, Vivian had not yet been born, so there could not have been no depositions attesting that she was mentally defective. When Dr. Purdy testified at the sterilization hearing, Vivian was less than 6 months old, and no one had attempted to test her for mental defects. Dr. Purdy then delivered his main appeal to the board that it would be best for both society that Carrie, if she had been protected against childbearing by sterilization. Who says it like that? When Strode asked for his expert recommendations, Dr. Purdy said unequivocally, "I am the firm belief and opinion that to prevent Carrie Buck bearing offspring is the duty to her and society. Without the operation, she would have to remain in the custody of an institution for the next 30 years. If she was sterilized," he testified, "she could leave the institution, enjoy her liberty in life, and become self-sustaining." When Strode was done, Shelton offered a brief, spiritless cross-examination. He did not challenge any of Dr. Purdy's inaccuracies. The misstating of his client's level of mental deficiency, the level to mention her academic success, the false statement that her paternity was unknown, or the outrageous statement about her daughter. He had made no attempt to introduce Carrie's colony files or even Dr. Purdy's history and clinical notes on Carrie, which were at odds with much of his testimony. Shelton's few questions were instead so poorly composed that they allowed Dr. Purdy to strengthen the colony's case. Shelton asked what assurances could be given that the operation would not be dangerous. Dr. Purdy was able to respond that salpingectomy is as harmless as any surgical operation can be, and that he had performed or assisted in 80 to 100 sterilizations of women who needed their tubes removed due to pelvic disease with no ill effect. I bet he's lying. Jeez. Shelton asked if there were a course of training career could be given instead of sterilization that would allow her to be released from the colony without harming society or herself. Dr. Purdy was able to respond that it would be an impossibility since her self-control and moral conception were organically lacking. Shelton let the answer stand uncontested. Carrie's sterilization hearing ended with a single question posed directly to her. "Do you care to say anything about having this operation performed on you?" Strode asked, pointedly not saying what, quote, this operation was. "No, sir," Carrie responded. I have not. It is not up to my people." "What?" "Oh, I have not. It is up to my people." Okay. It was a poignant response. It suggested that Carrie thought she had people looking out for her. She may have believed Dr. Purdy and the other staff at the colony and her best interest at heart, even though they were trying to forcibly sterilize her. She might have thought Shelton was fighting for her, though His performance at the hearing suggested otherwise. Despite Carey's apparent confusion about the situation, neither Shelton nor Strode followed up to clarify what she was thinking. No one made any effort to determine that Carey understood that the operation was being contemplated would make it impossible for her to have children. Not Strode, not Shelton, not Dr. Prudy, and not the members of the special board of directors. The one question put to her at the hearing appeared to be intentionally phrased to avoid informing her of what was going to happen to her. Nonetheless, the official record the colony created after the hearing stated that, quote, this girl was, quote, uh, desirous of taking advantage of the sterilization law. The special board of directors rendered its decision on September 30th. It determined that by the law of heredity, Carey was the probable potential parent of social inadequate offspring. The board also found that Carey could be sterilized without harming her health, and that performing the operation would promote her welfare and the general welfare of society. The board granted Dr. Prudy's petition and ordered him to have Carey sterilized by salpingectomy. As the new law required, the board gave Carey 30 days to appeal its order. The law's supporters wanted Carey to appeal so they would have their test case. The decision about whether to appeal, however, lay not with Dr. Prudy and Strode, who had prevailed before the board, but with Carey and Shelton. If Carey really was desirous of taking advantage of the sterilization law, as the colony claimed, there would be no reason for Shelton to appeal, but Shelton did appeal the board's ruling. In a motion filed on October 3rd, 1924, with the amendment of County Circuit Court. In filing the appeal, Shelton was creating the test case, exactly what Dr. Prudy and Strode wanted. In a letter to an expert witness, Dr. Prudy was open about the collusion. Carey's, quote, guardian at our request is taking an appeal from the action of the board, he wrote, in order that we may test the constitutionality through our state courts, even to the Supreme Court of the United States. In his appeal, Shelton objected to the board's decision to sterilize Carey as not supported by the evidence. More significantly, for the purpose of the test case, Shelton also objected that Virginia's new eugenic sterilization law was unconstitutional. The appeal claimed that the statute did not provide due process of law, denied inmates of state institutions equal protection of the law, and imposed cruel and unusual punishment. While the appeal was pending, the sterilization order was automatically stayed. Shelton hiring Irving Whitebeard, a lawyer with deep roots in Amherst County, to handle the appeal. The choice of Whitebeard was another indication that Dr. Prudy and Strode were likely making all the major decisions in the case, both for their side and for Carey's. Whitebeard had extraordinarily close personal and professional connections to the colony and to the people trying to sterilize Carey, and it would soon become clear that he was working for them, not for his nominal client.